Hello there. So today we are going to make a recipe that I've never made before. That's kind of become the new thing on these videos. It is potato crisp tofu nuggets. Potato crisp is the British way of saying potato chips, which is kind of fun. I got this out of a vegan magazine from London, but I ripped it out of the magazine, so I don't know what magazine it was. Sorry. But I do know the recipe originally came from The Colorful Family Table by Ilene Godofsky Morereno. So I will post that in the comments or in the whatever description. But this looks very simple. So it's potato crisp tofu nuggets. And the first thing we have to do is prepare our tofu. So let's do that. Okay, we have 1 pack of tofu. Tofu is sealed in a brine, so when you open tofu, hold it over a sink because, as you see, the brine will start to pour out. Lots of you probably have already worked with tofu, but I did teach a class right before all this happened where nobody had ever worked with tofu, so it was kind of exciting to introduce them to it. So here is our tofu drained from our packaging. Now we're going to work on it on a cutting board. Okay, the recipe says cut the tofu into 1/2 inch thick slices. So I have the tofu, the short end is facing the camera. So I'll cut this into 1/2 inch slices. This is extra firm tofu. By the way, you want extra firm or firm for a recipe like this. Okay, so we have our 1/2 inch slices here. And then the next step, lay the slices of tofu on a cutting board between paper towels or clean dishcloths. We're going to use dishcloths. And let the tofu sit for 30 minutes or overnight. That's a big range. Let's do we'll do 5 hours. I'm definitely guilty of not draining tofu enough sometimes for recipes. And for a recipe like this, where we want to eventually have a nice, firm, crispy nugget, we definitely want it to be drained or it'll be way too goopy. So I'm lining these up on a clean dish towel on a cutting board. And then I'm going to put another dish towel over top. Can you see that? There we go. And then place this cutting board on top of the whole thing. This is really heavy, so I don't feel like I need to put anything else on top of it. But if you don't have a very heavy cutting board, you could put a bunch of cans of canned food or just something like about 5 pounds or so on top so that it really presses the water out. So we will check back in 5 hours from now. Okay, so it's actually been 7 hours since we pressed our tofu with our dish towels, and I forgot to mention that should be done in the refrigerator to keep everything healthy and fresh. Let's take a look at our tofu. Towels should be very wet, which they are, which means the water transferred to them. So as you can see, much thinner because all that water is gone. Let's transfer these to our cutting board. And our recipe says to next cut each of these in half, so we have some some nugget-sized tofu pieces. So we'll cut these into squares. Here we have our little tofu nugget square. We're going to put these into a bowl and toss them with a tablespoon of tamari. If you don't have tamari, you could use Bragg's amino acid. You could also use soy sauce. We're going to use tamari, which is kind of like a milder form of soy sauce. It's also gluten-free, which is good. And I'm going to use my hands to mix the tofu together with the tamari. If you use a spoon or anything else, it could break the tofu apart. But here it is before we mix it with the tamari. So I'll blend that together. I'm using a nice big bowl so that the marinade can reach all of the pieces so they're not stacked on top of each other. You could also use a plate or even a small cookie sheet. And we're going to let these soak in the tamari for about 10 or 15 minutes while we do some other steps of the recipe. But right away, since all that water is out of the tofu, any liquids you add to it, it sucks it right back in, which is the whole purpose of getting the water out of it in the first place. But there you can see, already sucking up that tamari. So we'll set that aside for a minute. Now we're going to work on our batter. We're going to add some ground flaxseed, a tablespoon of that to a smaller bowl. But a bowl that's big enough to dip each nugget into in a little bit. That's how we're going to batter them. And we're going to add 3 tablespoons of warm water to our flaxseed. Mix that together and let that sit for 10 minutes, which will also let our tofu continue to marinate in our tamari. So while our flaxseed mixture is thickening, we're preheating our oven to 400. We've also lined a cookie sheet here with parchment paper, and I'm going to try to make a few of these in an air fryer, so we'll try both ways to see what works. But let's prep our potato crisps, our potato chips. So you want about 4 or 5 cups. I've conveniently eaten all the chips that we don't need, so all that's left in this bag is about 5 cups. We're going to smash them well. That's probably going to sound really nice on a video. Sorry about that. And we'll put them in a bowl, a wider bowl. To coat our nuggets with in a few minutes. Alright, it's been about 10 minutes. You can see here our flaxseed mixture has thickened. We're going to add a tablespoon of Dijon mustard to the flaxseed, a tablespoon of olive oil, and a tablespoon of maple syrup. We'll whisk that together. And that's what we're going to dip our tofu squares into to then coat them with our potato chips. There we go. So you can also see here all the tamari has been absorbed into our tofu squares. So we'll take one, coat it well with our flaxseed and olive oil and Dijon mustard mix there. And then stick that on our pan. And repeat. So we'll try 2 of them in our air fryer, but all the rest we'll do in the oven. Show you one here, up close. So nicely coated with these crispy potato chip pieces. So in the oven we're going to bake them for 20 minutes, and then we're going to take them out. We'll check in and check them, and we're going to flip them. Air fryer we're going to just play with because I'm not quite sure how. Okay, here are our nuggets on our baking tray before they're going into the oven. So they're going to go in at 400 degrees for 20 minutes. And we'll check back in. And then our air fryer nuggets. I'm just doing 2 in the air fryer. Air fryer is basically a countertop convection oven, so it's just a hot fan which circulates air. We're going to try them just 5 minutes on high, and we'll check them out. Okay, our air fryer 5 minutes is up. Oh wow, they're looking good. Browned on the top. So this might be the way to go. 5 minutes in the air fryer, and they actually look like they're almost done. Let's do maybe 1 more minute. But that would be way faster than the oven, but we'll definitely compare as well. All right, we'll be back. Okay, so after 1 more minute in our air fryer, nice and brown. So they're very, very hot. Lost my spatula. There it is. So let's take these out, let them cool a little bit, and we'll do a taste test later on, compare them to our oven-baked nuggets. We still have 12 minutes in our oven for the first round. It's been 20 minutes, our nuggets in the oven. Butterhead Alfie is excited, so let's check them out here. So the recipe says to flip them and cook them an additional 10 to 15 minutes. Hard to flip. There we go. So we'll try 10 more minutes and we'll see what they look like. We'll be back. So there's 2 flipped. 10 more minutes at 400. Our final 10 minutes is up. Let's see. They are looking nice and browned. So I think that will do. So that was 20 minutes, flipped them, and 10 more minutes. Let's check out the bottom. Oh, they look really good. Okay, let's let these cool for a few minutes and then we'll do a taste test. We'll compare the oven baked to the air fryer. Our nuggets have cooled a bit. So here they are. They have some wing sauce, some barbecue sauce. If you're using wing sauce, you want to make sure there's no butter in it. And I've already tasted the air fryer nuggets. I'll let you know about them in a second. Let's taste an oven baked nugget. Very good. So here's my opinion. Oven ones are definitely crispier and the texture is a little more firm. But if you're in a hurry, the air fryer ones aren't bad. And they were done in 6 minutes instead of 30 minutes. My other thought is I might even cut the tofu smaller. So cut each of these in half and have little tofu nugget strips instead of these big squares. But overall, really great meal. So hope you enjoy. The recipe is on my website, www.vegancookingwithjason.com. We also have a live class coming up this Friday where we're going to make vegan soft pretzels and cheddar cheese dip. So check that out there as well. See you soon.